Welcome to our explainer. Today, we're diving into the ancient wisdom of a really fascinating and kind of mysterious sage named Agur, whose words are captured in the 30th chapter of Proverbs. His writing isn't some dry lecture. It's much more like a naturalist's journal, just packed with these sharp observations about the world around him.
And you'll see this kind of cryptic style, this three things, yeah, four, structure. That's Agur's signature move. To really understand his incredible lists of wonders and warnings, we first have to get inside his head a little bit and see the world from his unique point of view. So where does all this come from? Well, it all builds from one single, central idea, Agur's own perspective on himself. He doesn't start with some bold claim of authority. Nope, he kicks things off with a pretty stunning admission of his own limits. And look, this isn't him just being falsely modest. This is his foundation. He's setting the stage by just flat out admitting how little he truly knows in the grand scheme of things. He's basically saying that real wisdom, it doesn't start with having all the answers. It starts by admitting how much you don't know. And he really hammers this point home by asking these powerful, almost unanswerable questions. He's pointing to these huge, untouchable parts of creation, the heavens, the wind, the seas, to highlight this massive gap between what humans can do and what divine power is. It's a total reality check that frames everything else he's about to observe. Okay, so starting from this place of humility, Agur then makes a very specific request. He makes this one simple prayer, and it tells you everything you need to know about his core principles and what he truly values in life. It's really just two things he asks for. First up, as we see in verse 8, he asks for integrity, to be free from all the deception and falsehoods. And his second request? It's for moderation. He wants to live right in that balanced space between extreme wealth and desperate poverty. Not more, not less. And why does he ask for this? Well, his reasoning is just crystal clear. He sees serious moral danger lurking at both extremes. Too much wealth, he fears, could lead to arrogance, to forgetting where you came from. And too little, that could lead to desperation, to stealing, and to dishonor. So what's the big takeaway here? He's looking for that balanced life, that middle way that's free from these huge temptations. All right, so let's get into his really cool literary style, this thing he does with the numerical lists. He uses it to sort of categorize his observations of the world, and he starts with four things that are defined by a hunger that can just never be satisfied. So he kicks it off by identifying four things that, well, by their very nature, they just can't ever be satisfied. They just consume and consume, but they're never, ever full. Like he says back in verse 15, their defining characteristic is that they're always crying, give, give. Just take a look at this list from verse 16. The grave, a barren womb, parched earth, a raging fire. These are seriously powerful primal forces, right? And they're perfect metaphors for that kind of bottomless desire that can never, ever be filled. Okay, but here's where it gets really interesting. Agur completely shifts gears. He stops looking at these grand, consuming forces, and he starts looking for wisdom in the smallest, most overlooked creatures. He finds something profound, not in raw power, but in instinct and ingenuity. And yep, you guessed it, he uses that list of four again. This time, he points out four animals that are physically small, even weak, but, as he puts it, they are exceeding wise. It's a great reminder that influence and survival don't always depend on your size. And each one has a specific lesson for us. You've got the ants, right? From verse 25. They teach us foresight, preparing for the future. Then the rock badgers, or conies, show us the wisdom of finding security in a solid foundation. The locusts, in verse 27, reveal the power of unity without any single leader. And the spider, with its incredible persistence, shows how even the smallest among us can reach the highest places. The big insight from Agur here is that real wisdom and real impact, they have nothing to do with your physical strength. So he shifts gears one more time, and now he observes four things that aren't defined by what they do, but by how they move. This time, he's totally captivated by things that just carry themselves through the world with this incredible dignity and majestic presence. In verses 30 and 31, he gives us this list. A lion, which fears nothing, a greyhound with its lean, powerful grace, a he-goat confidently leading the flock, and a king in his full, unchallengeable authority. From the wild animal kingdom to the top of human society, he sees this inherent grace and unshakable stature. For his final observation, he switches it up. He doesn't use a list. Instead, he gives us this simple but brilliant analogy about the mechanics of conflict. It's a super practical cause and effect lesson that anyone can get.
He kicks it off with something everybody in his day would have understood perfectly. If you apply constant pressure and agitation to milk, if you churn it, you will inevitably create something new. Butter. It's just a basic law of cause and effect.
And man, the parallel he draws is so sharp and so clear. In exactly the same way, if you constantly agitate a situation, if you keep pressing on someone's anger and force wrath, the inevitable outcome is strife. His point is that conflict doesn't just happen by accident. It's the natural product of forcing anger, just like butter is the natural product of churning milk.
So when you boil it all down, what's the big lesson from Agur's notebook? It's that wisdom isn't some secret knowledge locked away in a vault. It's available everywhere, in how an ant behaves, in the danger of too much money, in the simple physics of making butter. It's right there in front of us, if we just have the humility to stop, look, and really observe. And that's our deep dive into the incredible wisdom of Agur. Thanks for joining us.